Hi, I'm Heba, and today I'm going to take you through a fitness ballet workshop. Fitness ballet is a simplified version of ballet that makes you work out and get overall tone and strength, but with the classical principles from ballet. So we're going to focus on technique and making sure that you can do every move correctly so that when you come to do the class, you're ready and you're doing everything properly. So let's go ahead and start with our positions. One of our basic positions is called first position, where your feet and legs are turned out. And I'd like you to start with your legs feeling turned out from the tops of the thigh bones, heels together and toes apart. So a lot of people go into this position from their feet only with their knees pointing forward. This can create problems further on in life at the knee. So make sure when you're turned out from the whole leg and you feel the muscles spiral outward, wrapping around your thigh bone. Then go ahead and bend your knees a little bit and move your pelvis forward and backward. So in ballet we talk a lot about the pelvis, and I'd like you to think about your pelvis as your swimsuit bottom or your underwear. It's this section, it's this bowl. So when you're in this position, tuck your tailbone under a little bit and then bottom out. The pelvis goes under and then out. And if you imagine your pelvis is like a bucket of water, as you go backwards, the water is spilling forward, and as the pelvis tilts this way, the water is spilling backwards. And then we're going to find the midpoint where the water is settled and your hip bones and pubic bone are in the same plane. Then go ahead and stretch your legs, thinking about this. We're going to plie down. A plie is just a little soft bend of the knees, and then stretch the legs. Most people, when they come to do plies for the first time, they stick the bottom out and they hinge forward. So I want you to think about keeping the hip bones and pubic bone in the same plane and keeping your back as straight as possible. And you can add a little arm lift. And we do these a lot in the class. One of the biggest benefits of ballet is the core stability that you get. So in the same way like you work on your core stability in Pilates, ballet or fitness ballet is like Pilates standing up. So you're applying all your Pilates principles to a standing functional position. Okay. Every time you stretch your legs, I want you to think about zipping up through the inner thighs and spiraling your legs out even more. So it's like the sitting bones in the back are coming together, and then they're opening as you bend your knees. Sitting bones come together, and then they open. Let's try this in second position now. Second position is just the legs a little bit further apart, but it's the same idea. Same turnout. You're going to inhale, bend the knees, and exhale to stretch. Some of the typical things that go wrong with this position is the knees falling inward with the feet rolling out. I'd like you to look at your knees and check that they're actually tracking your toes as you bend the knees. Thinking again about that neutral pelvic position where your hip bones and pubic bone are in the same plane and your back is straight. So it's not like squats where we lean forward. The back stays really, really upright, slide straight down, and then we come back up again. And again, you can add the arms. And each time you go, you can go a little bit deeper, just to feel a little bit of a stretch in the inner thighs. Okay, let's go ahead and go into a little combination now. So we go back to first position, and you're going to do a little plie in the middle. You're going to step out and do a second position plie with the right leg, and then a second position plie with the left leg, coming back to first position each time. So we go one in the middle, stretch, step to the right, bring it together, step to the left, bring it together. Middle plie. When you go to the right, then spring off your right foot to bring it back to center. You go to the left, spring off the left foot, bring it back to center. And again, little plie in the middle, step out to the right, step out to the left, and little plie back in the middle. One more time, and plie, together, plie, together, and relax. Okay, oftentimes, this is usually a warm-up when we have our heels down. Once we get into the full workout, we start to lift the heels up to add a little bit of more intensity and strength on the legs. So let's go to our first position again, but this time you're going to come up to a releve position. Releve in ballet just means up on your tippy toes. So you're going to bring your heels together. Once you've come up onto your tippy toes, squeeze your heels together tightly, because that's going to help you with your balance. It's easier if you're on a hard or floor surface rather than a soft mat like this one. This can be quite challenging. We're going to do our plie again, thinking about the same principles we talked about, keeping the back straight, the pelvis neutral, and spiraling the legs out. So remember, back straight, pelvis neutral, spiral the legs out. Your heels are now your contact point. We bend and stretch. Breathe in, bend. Breathe out, stretch. Think about your sitting bones again, opening as you bend the knees, and then they're coming close together. They're opening, they're coming close together. And now you'll actually start to feel your legs working a little bit stronger each time. Okay, we're going to hold halfway, and we're going to do little pulses. We do pulses often in the class. These are just like little minute bends of the knee. So your knees are bending up and down a little bit, and you'll start to feel your legs getting really warm and working. And it's just to add a little bit of tension in the muscle. So whenever we're in turnout, you're working your quads a lot, but you're also getting a little bit of glutes and hamstring involvement as well. And by now, you may get a little bit of shaking going on in the legs. That's fine. Just rest whenever you need to. Let's go for 5 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, shake your legs out. And let's go ahead and take our second position. We're going to lift the heels again. So go back to your second position. And let's lift one heel at a time. So you're going to lift your right heel, and then you're going to take it down. And then you're going to lift your left heel and take it down. But you have to stay nice and low in the same height the whole time. And lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower. Now let's try both heels together. Lift both of them up at the same time and then take them down. Lift both of them up, take them down. Lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower. Hold the heels up now. Back to those little pulses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And relax. Okay, bring your legs back in. Shake them off. So you're done now with your plies. We do first position plie, second position plie, and sometimes in the classes you'll find that you'll be going into other different positions, but the principles are the same. Remember, back straight, pelvis neutral, legs turned out. Okay, now other sections of the classes will be things where we take our leg forward and back. So let's go back to our first base position. And then think again about your pelvis, your swimsuit bottom, staying absolutely neutral for this whole series. You're going to take your right leg forward into a tendu position, which just means the leg is taken forward and it's rolled out. Then you're going to flex the foot and pull it back to first position. So you take it forward and back, forward, back, forward, back. Here, you're going to feel like this is a really easy exercise, but if you're doing it correctly, there's a lot to think about. When you're stretching your leg forward, what you want to avoid is for that swimsuit to go forward with you. It has to stay behind in neutral. So you're trying to disassociate your leg from your pelvis and lower back. So you get complete stability here. Okay, so that's tendu to the front. Let's go still with the right leg, but tendu to the side. So you go to the side, and then back in. To the side, and back in. These are best done holding on to something. So if you don't have a bar, just hold on to the wall. Just so you're not tensing your body and trying to balance, but you're really thinking about the disassociation of your leg from your pelvis. Which is one of the biggest benefits of ballet in general. Okay, then we're going to take the leg behind us. Going behind the body, you need to think about using your glute to take the leg behind. It's so important. A lot of us have a very overactive, over-involved lumbar spine, and we like to do this. Whenever our leg goes behind us, we like to do this, and we do it when we're walking as well. So if you're one of those people that has one of these hollow back postures, you could lean forward a little bit and hold your abs in, and then send your leg back while you're holding onto the wall or the chair. And just think about your glute being the main driver of that leg movement. Your lower back, your pelvis, that's completely stable. And it's your core muscles at the front that are helping you to keep that stable. So a gentle connection or awareness at the front is very, very helpful. And relax. Let's do the other side with a bit more flow. So breathe out, take your left leg forward and back in. Back to forward again. Standing as tall as possible, but with no tension or effort. Great. To the side, we go out. Now, always think of your hip bones as like headlights in a car, and they're pointing forward the whole time, no matter what the legs are doing. They're not twisting or turning. Sometimes when we go off to the side, we lean into the wall or the chair. Try and think of 2 drinks on your shoulders that you need to steady out. Now to the back. Hold your core at the front, lean forward a bit if you need to, if you feel like your lower back is getting involved without your control. And remember that the leg is still in turnout, it's still rolled out. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. The next step from here is to take the leg forward again, but it's up in a jeté position. So we're going to take the leg forward, up and down, up, down, up, down. Where you should feel most of the fold happening is here, where your hip joint is. A lot of us think of our hips, we think about up here, but that's actually our pelvis. Our leg is where it meets our socket, where it meets our pelvis, that's our hip joint. And I want you to feel the fold and the crease there. Keep your other leg completely straight and the spine nice and tall. Okay, let's hold the leg there. Little pulses. Sometimes you're going to be doing little lifts and little pulses. And what most of us tend to do on this one is we start to bend the standing leg and tuck our tailbone under. So again, think about sticking your bottom out as your leg lifts. Think about keeping your pubic bone and hip bones in the same plane. And you have to lift from the inner thigh muscles. If your leg is parallel, you're going to feel it directly in the middle of the quad. It's a turnout position, so you're getting the tone and strength at the inner thigh. That's our focus in this exercise. And little pulses continue. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, rest. Okay, let's do the same on the other side. Jeté up and down. We're only going front for now. Up and down. You want to stick the leg when you take it forward. Stick it in the air without it kind of bouncing. So move with intent. 5, 4, 3. Remember, it's turned out. 2 and 1. Hold here. Little pulses. The only wrinkle should be happening is at the hip joint. Your top should be straight. You don't want to start wrinkling it and folding over. So stay nice and tall. Little pulses, little leg lifts. And these do feel a lot nicer holding on to something. Otherwise, your standing leg is going to be the one that's really, really doing all the work. And let's go for another 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Just do a few pliés now to ease off tension in the inner thighs. Back to these. And relax. Well done. Okay, now we're going to go to little leg lifts backwards. So we already learned the tendu behind us. Now we're going to take the tendu behind us, lean forward a little bit like we talked about with the core connected, and you're going to start to lift and lower, trying to access your glute. Lift and lower. Your glute and your upper hamstring, we really focus on in these classes. Most of us don't have very good hip extension when it's pure hip extension at the leg. We like to use our back a lot, so keep going, keep checking in with your spine. Is it neutral? Is it unaffected? 5, 4, 3, 2, hold. Let's do little pulses here. 1, 2, from the glute. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Take it down. Let's do the other leg. Same thing. Take the leg back. Turn it out so you're lifting from your deep glute muscles. And lift 1. And don't lift high, because if you start to lift the leg high, you'll definitely go into your lower back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See, all this is really stable. I'm trying to keep it tight from moving. And we hold the leg long, back to little pulses. We go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and another 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Relax. You will feel your standing leg working, and that's important because all these small stabilizer muscles are working as you stand on that one leg. We're going back to the back now. One position we do a lot in the class is an attitude position. An attitude position is basically a turned out leg and a bent leg. It's a very slight bend though. So if you have your legs straight behind you, and I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, let's take it to an attitude position now. You're just going to bend the knee a tiny bit and lift from your bottom. Again, from the bottom. This is very key because I see a lot of people doing attitude first time in our classes, and they start to rotate from the hips, from the pelvis, and from the lower back. So when you turn the leg out, make sure it's really isolated to just the leg, and you're lifting. And this is such a great one to tone the glutes and to work on this muscle. So little pulses again, and you should feel it there. And if you're not feeling it there, chances are you're probably turned out too much. Your hip bones are not squared forward. Remember, these two are always squaring forward, like your headlights, always pointing forward. And relax. Let's do the same on the other side. So other leg goes back, lift it to ever so slightly, bend it, and lift. And you may feel that one side feels more turned out than the other. Our hip joints are different on each side. If you feel stiff on one side, keep the leg lower so you don't start to involve your back. So it doesn't have to be high at all. Even if your leg is so low and you're lifting, you're still going to feel it in the glute. Let's do 10 more pulses. And 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay? Sometimes we're going to be doing an attitude position at the front of the body. So if we did the tendu position like you did earlier, then try and lift the leg with a very slight bent leg at the front of you, and then take it down and straighten. We come up and straighten, up and straighten. Now the target is very much the inner thighs, and your hip joint as well is you're going to feel it a lot in this joint because of the turnout. And as you get used to it, the joint will start to feel freer and freer. Remember that the more turnout you get, the easier it is going to be for you to access your glute muscles in the later stages of the class when we do our side and backward. Hold it at the front, little pulses from the inner thigh, lifting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, one more, 8, 1, 2, 3, should really feel it here, 5, 6, 7, 8, and relax. Let's do the other leg now. Take it forward, roll the leg out, lift and bend the knee ever so slightly, and then take it down. Lift, take it down, lift, down. Every time you lift your leg, just keep the hip bones in the same line, like there's a ruler here lining them up. So you're not hitching your hip up like this as you lift. Hold the leg up, little pulses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, one more, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and relax. Okay, so that we've done our pliés, we've done our tendus, we've done our jetés, we've done our attitude positions, and all these are very, very turned out. Now go back to parallel, and this should feel quite nice and relieving on the hips to come back to a parallel position. And all we're going to do now is some relevés. So relevés, remember, like we said earlier, is when you come up onto your toes. Now, whenever we come up onto the toes, tendency is for the people to let the heels fall out to the side. So I'd like you to think about coming up onto the big toe side of the foot. As you're rolling up, put more weight on the big toe side of the foot. And we lift and lower. Lift, lower. And then you'll start to feel your calf muscles working. Let's do 3 more. 3. These are going to help you with the jumps. Sometimes we're going to be doing some jumps. 2 and 1. Okay. Now we're going to try our pliés in our relevé position in parallel. So come up to relevé and bend the knees and stretch. Bend the knees and lift the heels, stretch. Bend the knees, stretch. So every time you bend the knees, I'd like you to lift your heels. And when you stretch your legs, you can lower the heels. Keeping the back, remember, straight, your pelvis neutral, and this time your knees are just pointing forward. If it helps, you can add the arms, reaching forward. 2, 1. Hold here now, and we're going to do little pulses again. 1, 2, 3, keeping the heels high. 5, 6, 7, 8, and another 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and relax and lower the heels. Just do a roll down now through the spine to ease off any tension in the legs. Little stretch, and then slowly roll up 1 vertebra at a time. Okay, so that's it for our standing positions. We're going to go on the floor now, and we're still going to be working on the legs, but I'd like you to go ahead and lie down on your side and take this position. Your bottom leg is going to be bent and your top leg is going to be straight. So initially we're going to be doing some lying down sideways leg work just till you get enough strength in your glutes, and then as you get to the level 2 fitness ballet, you'll notice that a lot of the side leg ones are done standing up. And that's because you've already got the strength and stability in your supporting leg. It's not going to burn so much. So whenever you're lying down on your side, think about your core gently and think about lifting through the bottom waist as if there's like freezing ice cold water running underneath your bottom waist that you're trying to lift away from. You're going to lengthen the top leg and make it so long. Try and feel space in your hip joint. Try and feel traction and space in the hip as you make your leg longer. Now we're going to lift and lower the leg, and as you lift the leg, you want to try and not touch the freezing water. Now, there doesn't have to be a physical, actual space under your waist. It's the muscles that need to feel like they're lifting. So don't force yourself to lift until there's space. This top waist should remain long and symmetrical to the bottom waist, so the distance between your rib and your hip on both sides need to be exactly the same. And you'll notice now that this muscle is working and you're starting to get some warmth in your glute. We're going to hold the leg up and little pulses again for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So again, the pulses, they just add a little bit of intensity to the exercise, and they add a little bit of strength or tension on the muscle. And hold. Let's take our top arm overhead, pull the wrist of the top arm with the bottom arm, and flex your foot now. And feel energy through the heel. I'm going to start to circle the leg around. And I'd like you to think of a really smooth circle as you do this. So no sticky points, just smooth, controlled movement. When you find that a circle is getting a bit choppy in a few sections, slow it down. Change direction. And this exercise is helping you strengthen the gluteal group, but also giving you that control and coordination in your hip joint. One more circle, and relax. And you can take your foot across, wedge the knee up, and push the knee open for a little stretch. And relax. Okay, let's come up. We turn around. We'll do the other side. So, take your long line again. Lengthen the top leg. Keep the bottom leg bent. Think of that cold water again under your waist that you're trying to avoid. And you're going to lengthen the leg nice and long. Remember, feel the space here in your joint. We lift and lower, keeping the symmetry of the top waist to the bottom waist without touching that ice cold water with your muscles. And each time you lift the leg, feel like it's getting longer and longer. Let's go 5 more. 5. You're lifting from the hip joint, which is here. 3, 2, and hold. Little pulses up now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and relax. Now take your top arm and pull the wrist of the top arm with the bottom arm and really pull, feel a stretch, flex your foot and feel energy coming out of the heel, and just circle the leg round. All you're trying to do is find any choppy sections of the circle and go slower through those sections. Otherwise, just slow, controlled movement. And change direction, circle the opposite way. And relax. Bring the foot forward, open the knee to give yourself a little bit of a stretch. Okay, so by now you're probably thinking that this fitness ballet class is all about the legs, and a big part of it is, but we are going to also, in every little class we're doing, we're also working on our core and our arms as well. So let's go ahead and do a few of the movements that we would do for the arms, and then we'll do some core work to finish. So one of the moves we do a lot in the class is a push-up. And there's so many different ways of doing push-ups, but we're just going to focus on the way we're going to do it in the class. So take your hands to the edges of your mat and take your knees directly underneath your hips. So you're in a perfect box position. You may do a few pelvic tilts again just to find that neutral position. So wherever we are, we're in neutral. And when you bend your arms to do the push-up, I want you to think of going not straight down, but down and forward towards the front of the mat. And then as you breathe out, push up and back. So you're going down and forward, but keeping the bottom high in the air. A lot of us are conditioned to do the push-ups here, so you're thinking of keeping the bottom low in line with the body. But for this one, because we're diving forward, keep the bottom high and nose dive towards the front of the mat and then push up. Inhale to come down, and exhale to push up. And with this variation, even if you are strong and you're used to doing full push-ups, you'll actually still feel it as a strong variation. If you need to make it easier at any point, you just need to go straight down, head between the hands. So the further forward you go, the stronger it is. And at one point, you're aiming for your hands to reach your waist as you're going forward. This is going to engage a lot more of the back muscles as well. So let's try now the full push-ups. They say you're doing the level 2 class, and you're doing the full push-up. You're going to take a perfect plank position, and when you're here, there's no diving forward anymore. We just go straight down and straight up. Straight down, straight up. And the most important thing is to keep the alignment of the spine intact. So when we're doing full push-ups, the two main typical things that happen are hips sagging too low to try to go deeper, or head dropping to try to go deeper. Think of a bunch of drinks on your back that you don't want to spill as you do the push-up. And there's also a drink sitting on the back of your neck. So if you were to do this, your drink would spill. And when I say lift your head, try not to lift it by looking forward, but lift it by just lifting the back of the head as if someone's pulling you from the ponytail and tucking your chin in. So let's try one more time, thinking of the drinks on our back and on the back of the neck. So we go straight down, push up, straight down, push up. One more time. And relax in a child's pose from yoga, which is this position. And roll up. Okay, the other arm movements we'll be doing are with the band, but those are very straightforward and you can just follow along if you have a band. And if you don't have a band, you could use some little weights or bottles of water, anything that feels like cans, it could be absolutely anything. Same exact movements we're going to be doing with the band you can do with your little weights. Okay, so towards the end of the workout, typically we'd finish with core. So let's go ahead and go over a few technique things that we want to think about when we're doing our core exercises. So I'd like you to lie down on your back. Take your hands behind your head, and your legs are going to be bent with your pelvis in the neutral position again. So what happens typically with the curl-ups, which is what we do a lot of in this class, is people overuse their neck rather than their spine to curl up, and it gives the exercise a reputation of, oh, I don't do curl-ups because it shouldn't really bother your neck at all. When you're curling up, it's a movement coming from your mid-back, from your thoracic spine, and it's your ribs that are leading rather than your neck on these curl-ups. So let's think about a few things. The first thing is, before you curl up with your head and shoulders, you're going to drop your chin ever so slightly downwards to lengthen the back of the neck. Then, when you curl up, there should be about a fist-sized gap underneath your chin. So you don't want to jam your chin to your chest, but you don't want your chin to be pointing up to the ceiling either. So there should be a natural curve. Remember, your neck is part of the spine, so it should be in continuation. All right? So when you're curling up, think about your sternum coming down towards the pubic bone, and then you lengthen down and relax. Breathe out, curl, and relax. And the hands being here, they're just offering support for the base of your skull. You want to feel like your head is resting heavy in your hands, and you're not actually using your arms to pull the neck forward. Now, when the thoracic spine is quite stiff, you'll feel blocked, you'll feel like you can't curl up. But really try and visualize the shoulder blades peeling off the mat. So you're curling up nice and high. All right? If you prefer to have your arms down, fine. But you need to have a really perfect neck alignment so that it doesn't bother you in the neck. The other thing we're going to be doing is thinking about engaging the core without letting the surface muscles bulge upwards. So you know how sometimes you could be doing crunches and just letting your surface muscles bulge upwards like this? You want to try, as you're curling up, to scoop a little bit, hollow the abdominals in a natural way. So not by sucking your tummy in with tension, but just exhaling on the curl up. If you breathe out as you curl up, your ribs are naturally closing and your abdominals are naturally hollowing in a little bit. So we breathe out, curl, breathe in, release, breathe out, curl, in, release. Let's do 3 more. And you've probably done loads already, just thinking about all these different things. 2. Hold it at the top. Sometimes we'll be doing little pulses. Again, watch for the pulses that you're not jamming your chin to your chest. You're lifting just an extra vertebra off the mat. And relax. Okay, the other part of the core exercises is sometimes we'd have our legs up in the air. And I'd like you to, if you are taking your legs up in the air, just think about keeping the spine in neutral. So if you're one of those people where we're doing things like a one-leg stretch and your back is starting to really arch and starting to really feel it in your lower back, just go ahead and take your lower back into an imprint position as we do in Pilates, where you're tilting your pelvis, lifting your pubic bone, and pressing and lengthening the lower back into the mat. And that initially is going to feel more comfortable and more focused on the front of the core as you do these exercises, especially on the double leg ones. Sometimes you feel you need that extra support from the imprint. Okay, but if you're strong enough to be in neutral while you do your leg movements and you don't feel your lower back taking over, then just keep your spine in neutral, keep the feeling of compressed abdomen as you do the exercises. If we're curled up with the head and shoulders at the same time, you can just think of looking down towards the pubic bone. And whenever we do things like opposite elbow, opposite knee, I don't actually mean to touch the elbow to the knee. You're going to keep your elbow wide open and just drive the ribs round. Just sort of looking underneath your armpit each time. Let's do 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax and just have a stretch. Okay, you come up to sitting again, grab the eye, and swing yourself up to sitting. So I hope you enjoyed this workshop. It's just giving you a little bit of things to think about when you start the workout, and a little bit of technique pointers that typically would go wrong if you weren't going through the workshop first. And I hope that you join in on our fitness ballet classes.